It's the thought process that goes on behind the scenes. The thought process of, am I ready to actually hop on onto this podcast? And then the procrastination that takes place behind the scenes is kind of ridiculous, especially from me. So we are on take 3 or 4. I'm not sure which take we're on. And so here we go. Hello, beautiful souls and warriors. Welcome to the Diary of a Fiber Warrior, the podcast where we turn pain into power, isolation into connection. I'm your host, Chico, and since being diagnosed in 2016, I've learned and discovered that living with fibromyalgia can feel like navigating a storm without a map. But here's the thing. You're not sailing alone and you're not in this journey alone, even through the stormy weathers of what we go through with the symptoms. Today, we're diving into one of the most frustrating symptoms many of us face, especially as the seasons change. Coping with or surviving through weather-induced brain fog is not for the faint-hearted. And I'm saying this as a fiber warrior who has just been a fiber warrior, ME and CFS warrior who has been navigating through this storm the past week. I'm smiling now because I'm feeling a little bit sense of some life coming through to me. But at the same time, I felt that as though the brain fog has been quite tricky and tricking my mind into believing that I was coming through it. So today's topic is on weathering the storm in your skull, navigating weather-induced brain fog. And I'm putting my hand up on that one. I've been going through all sorts with brain fog for the past week. But not just any type of brain fog is what we're focusing on today. We're talking about a specific intense beast that is weather-induced brain fog. There are other numerous types of brain fog that people experience, but the one that I've found most challenging, I don't know about you, for me has been the weather-induced type brain fog. So if you've ever felt a storm coming in your bones and your brain, this episode is especially for you. And if you're joining for the first time, remember to hit the subscribe button to be kept up to date, and also to share and to also help support to raise further awareness, okay, to build a community as well with other fellow warriors. And thank you for your continued support, for the return listeners too. As I mentioned earlier, I have been experiencing brain fog, surviving through it, let's just say that. And it's been quite a test. It's been quite challenging in a sense that I felt physically debilitated by it. And often when it happens, especially when it's weather-induced, it's something that catches me off guard. But it also kind of sends a signal to my brain to say that this is what's going to be happening. And often I can sense like a hint of it at the back of like my head. As it's a slight pressure. And sometimes I think, is it due to the weather? And when I look outside, that really confirms it for me. But where it may sneak in is that it can hit unexpectedly, especially, let's say, for instance, if you were sleeping and the weather has been gloomy, it's been raining, it's been foggy, then I feel the impact majorly, and it can be immediately, sometimes without any preparation. I can say most of the times without any preparation. And I've tried to explain this to other people, but I think there's the misconception or understanding that it's the type of brain fog that you can somehow easily come through it. And in most cases, no matter how much you battle through it, for me, it hasn't been as easy of an experience in comparison to other type of brain fog symptoms. So the other type of brain fog symptoms can be, for instance, like food-related type of brain fog, or just exhaustion or heat-induced. I find the cold-induced brain fog to be a different type of beast altogether. So my experience has been this feeling of, I'd say, pressure behind my head, as I mentioned before. Then it also affects my eyes, but then it's a pressure moving on forward, and I feel it mostly on my left-hand side. And then with that as well, what I've noticed more and more, it just depends on what's happening, is dizziness that comes with it too, and steadiness on the feet. Let's just say cognitively, it also impairs my sensory activity, my cognition in terms of my memory and my speech. I tend to forget simple words. Although it's something that's typical with fibromyalgia, it just becomes more heightened or more debilitating due to the brain fog. And if this is resonating and you think, yes, you can relate to some of these symptoms, feel free to share also any additional symptoms that you experience, because your story is worthwhile sharing, as you may never know who it can resonate with as well. So as soon as I thought I was recovering, it's been like this. Sometimes it feels like it's a mind trick. I'll wake up feeling that, oh, today I'm possibly going to come through it. I'll start to do some level of activity. Then I'm thrown off balance with a sign that, nope, the brain fog is still here. It's still here. And if I do more activities, then I become I've experienced this debilitating kind of like not kind of, but it is physical as a result of the cognitive factors being impaired, to the point that sometimes there's no option but to rest and to kind of dial down everything else that's going on. So any grand ideas I may have had for that day, they are thrown out the window. Brain fog just reminds me that, yes, great, you've had those awesome ideas, but nothing is definitely going to happen as we ride through this storm. And in the past, I was ridden with like a lot of guilt because I felt like I was falling behind somehow because I couldn't do some of my activities. Because mentally you feel like, yes, I can do all of this, but then you're impaired to the point that you can't intake. You can output some information, but you can't intake information or process things as easily, to the point that you just have to stop everything and ride through the storm. And then when you have little opportunities or windows that are open for you to do something, then you do something. And the level of intensity varies for everybody too. And as I share this, I often share it based on my personal experiences as well, and for educational purposes. Now, if you've ever, okay, so we're going into the science behind the storm. Now, if you've ever tried to explain this to someone and been met with, oh, it's just the weather, and you know this can feel dismissive, or somebody offers you that little bit of like a magic cure that they'll be able to assist you through it, I'm here to tell you that it's just not all in your head or in your mind, or that you're making it up. It's something that is also backed by science and medically, although it's very difficult for doctors to have some kind of like diagnostic or a test for it. It is one of the symptoms that has been highlighted based on research and feedback from patients, and then hence the name brain fog that's come up as a result of this. It is very real. It's a physiological phenomenon, okay, which impacts you cognitively and physically. So it's not all in your head. So the culprit is often known as a barometric pressure. That's the weight of the atmosphere around us. Let me give you a metaphor, for instance. Okay, so the metaphor, for instance, is think of your body as a sealed container, okay, where the barometric pressure drops outside, like it does when it's raining or there's a big temperature shift. The pressure inside your body doesn't change as quickly. This creates an imbalance, okay, due to the pressure, due to the external pressures. And as for those of us with sensitive systems and symptoms, I'll include those, especially fibromyalgia, ME, and CFS, the imbalance can have profound effects. Okay, for instance, our tissues and blood vessels expand slightly to compensate for the activity that is happening internally. This can also trigger, as you may have experienced, inflammatory response. Inflammatory response with a huge key driver for some of us. The driver could be chronic pain, and for me, it's often brain fog. And this is also backed up by the American Migraine Foundation. Okay, it says, which clearly says that there's a link, pressure changes, and that can also instigate migraine attacks, which are associated with brain fog. Okay, this expansion can also alter blood flow. I can't speak for some reason today. I'm still not over my brain fog, to be quite honest. Okay, so this expansion can also alter blood flow and even the pressure of the cerebrospinal fluid around your brain and spine, leading directly to headaches, dizziness, and cognitive impairment that some of us or most of us experience. And for me, the one that was most peculiar, and I think I hadn't associated with it before, was dizziness. I didn't really connect it, but I felt it more so this time when I was trying to do extra activities. I think it's just because the brain fog has been more heightened or debilitating this time due to the continued or the persistence in the foggy weather. When you feel a storm coming in your bones and your brain, you're not imagining it. Okay, it is all real. It is very real, especially as most of us have highlighted that this is a concern and debilitating symptoms such as brain fog. It's just not a simple thing where you can quickly turn it around by some magic miracle cure, especially if you are already in it. It takes time to come through. And this is what I've experienced. For some, it's days. For some, it can be weeks or even like a month, just depending on what is going on physically with you and cognitively.